Hello, Stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. Today is Thursday, May 22nd, and I am pre-recording this, so I still got some construction going on here, so hopefully it'll be done by the time this airs. But today I have a technique I'm going to show you. We're going to do some painting, and I probably should be painting my room, but I'm not. I'm going to paint some pictures, some stamps, and we're going to paint with Enamel Effects. Now, I know they're on the last chance list. They are still available at the time I'm recording this, and it's honestly, they are a great deal. So if you don't have them, you might want to consider checking it out and seeing if they're still available, because once they're gone, they're gone. But I know many of you already own them. So I wanted to show you, we do a lot of different things with Enamel Effects, but today we're going to paint with it. Or we could say color, but it's really more like painting. So let me flip my camera down and we will get started. So I'm going to be using the Spotlight on Nature stamp set, one of my all-time favorites. So glad it's still available and didn't get retired. And we're going to color this image and this butterfly. Now, I went ahead and I actually have them ready to do. I heat embossed this with black embossing powder, and you don't have to. You can just stamp it with your inks. If you do, just be aware that because the enamel effects are also water-based, and if you use ink that's water-based, you may get some bleeding of the ink into the enamel effects. So I practiced around and I did do some both ways, but I much preferred it when I heat embossed. And I heat embossed with black. I did practice with I think I embossed one butterfly with copper, and I just liked the way the black made it pop a little bit more. So you need an image, you need a paintbrush of some sort. Now you probably could use our water painters without water, but I just have a little artist brush here that is small, so I can get into the details. And you're probably going to want a silicone mat, because we use this kind of as our paint palette. And I'm going to color this today. I'm going to color the flowers with the red pearlized, real red pearlized Enamel Effects. And then I will tint the white pearlized for the leaves. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll have some more fun when it comes to the butterfly. But let's just do the flowers first. And I just like to put a little dab on here. And for some reason, it's easier for me to paint this upside down. So probably because I can brush away from the center of the flower. So just going to pick up a little bit with your brush, and we're just going to paint it. Now, you can put one coat on, you can put multiple coats. I'm going to show you one card where I really made a lot of texture with it, because obviously this will, you can use it to create texture on your projects. So on these flowers, I'm pretty much just keeping it smooth for the most part. And I'm just going to get the whole thing colored. Then I'm going to let it set for a minute. That's a thin layer. I'm going to come back and do some shading where I'll darken it up a little bit near the base of the flower. But we're going to get one coat on it, and then we'll come back and do some shading. And you can see just how easy and quick this is. The red it is called real red. And if you have a thick layer, like you can see in the pile here that I squeezed out, it is basically red. But when you brush it on a thin layer, it kind of takes on a more rosy appearance, almost a berry burst. color. So it is quick and easy. You can see it's just as easy as coloring with Stampin' Blends or whatever, but it gives a nice pearlized effect. And so I'm gonna add a little bit more. Make sure I'm still in the camera here. I tend to pull things towards me and then it gets out of frame. I think after doing it for as many years as I have, I'd have that mastered by now, but I don't know. It's just because when I just stamp for myself without the video, obviously I bring it closer to me. So I'm just going to add some down here. And then we're going to do the leaves, and I'm going to do I'm going to use the white and tint the white. I could have tinted the white with red, but I thought, well, I've got red, why don't I just use it? Because it seems like I use the white most often, so I thought, well, I'm going to stretch it. And then for the butterfly, we're actually going to use the gold metallic, and I'm going to show you that we can actually tint the metallics as well. So that's kind of fun. It helps stretch your enamel effects a little further if you can use them and color different ones. Color the silver, color the gold. I didn't try coloring copper, but we're going to color some gold. I just rinsed my brush in a little glass of water I've got here off camera. So now let's go ahead and add a little bit of white. So this is the Pearlized Enamel Effects white. And I'm going to make a little pile of this. Don't need much for this green here. And I've got a Granny Apple Green ink refill. And rather than dropping it right into the white, what I like to do is just make a drop off to the side. Because sometimes you'll get a big drop come out when you squeeze it, and then you end up having to, if it's too dark, you have to add some more white to it, right? So this way I can just pick up a little bit of the green with my brush and kind of stir it in until I get the green that I want. It's easier to control the amount of color that way, I found. Okay, I'm going to brush that off, and we got plenty of green now. So put this back where you can see it, and we're just going to brush on the green. Now these enamel effects are actually somewhat translucent, so they're not super opaque, so you can still see the lines in the leaves and the flowers, which gives it the highlighting, right? If you stamp this, for example, with black memento and go to color like this, you may lose some of the distinction of the shadowing or shading of the lines because it can tend to bleed. You want to make sure you let it get nice and dry before you do it. But that's why I found I liked to use the embossing, because now I don't have to worry. I can go right over the embossed lines, and I don't lose the effect. It does cover them a little bit, as you can see, but you can. Let me bring this up closer. Put that back in my water. So I'm going to tip this around, and there you can see how the pearlized colors shine and shimmer. Isn't it pretty? So now let's do the butterfly, and then I'll show you the completed color. So I said I'm going to use gold. So I'm going to use a gold metallic, in my brush, dry it off. You can use any kind of brush. This is just a very inexpensive artist brush. You do want it, don't let it dry. Don't let the Enamel Effects dry on the brush because you won't get it up. And even though it's a cheap brush, there's no point in buying cheap brushes every time, right? So let's use a little of the gold. And I'm going to start out with just gold, no coloring. And I'm just going to color the center portion up closest to the body with the gold. And then I want to show you how we can start shading different colors together. It actually, I think it blends and shades even more nicely than regular ink. It dries a little because it dries slower. It gives you more time to play a bit with the shading, which makes it really kind of fun. So there, that is just plain gold. You can see that. And I cleaned it, probably didn't need to. I am now going to add a little bit of crushed curry in the gold. And again, I'm going to put the drop just to the side of it, and then we'll mix it in. See, like that came out as a pretty big drop. If I had dropped that into the gold, it would have gotten pretty dark. But this, when I add the crushed curry into the gold, it's still gold, but it changes it to more of a yellowy gold or orangey gold. I would say brighter, more vibrant when I added the crushed curry. Now, I like to kind of wipe this a little bit so it keep my brush from getting too fat. So now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to kind of go right over the top of what's there. Not all of it, but just the outer edge, and just brush out. You can brush out, you can brush back in towards it for your shading, however you like to do it. And just darken up kind of where we had the gold a little bit. Just darken and make it a little bit out beyond the gold. And let me just pick this up and show you. You can see that color is more vibrant than right in the center. And by shading it like this, it just gives it more life to your image and a little bit more depth, I think. Now I'm going to put a little more gold here. Just plain gold. And now this time I'm actually going to mix some Granny Apple Green in here. And I could probably just pick up from the spot I have over here, but I want to, that is mixed with white, so I could just use the one with the white. But I wanted to show you that we can color the metallics as well. And it makes it look similar to white, but it does give it just a little bit different appearance because we started out, it's like we got a different base color paint, right? So when they mix a gallon of paint, there's different colors that they start with. So let's go ahead. I'm still getting off my little thing here. Take some of that off. And just kind of brush right over top of the edges of the other color. This one. So I'm just kind of, and it blends beautifully. So don't be afraid to mix and match the colors of the Enamel Effects. I guess that's kind of my message here, is we can mix and match, and we don't need to only use white to use our re-inkers, and and add color. It will be different than the white, but it's still really pretty. So there's our butterfly. Now, this stamp set does not come with dies, so I did fussy cut the butterfly, but let me show you the finished card. Got it behind me over here. Here's the finished card. And like I said, it's kind of, the red is easy to mix and match with different colors. This is Berry Burst, and it looks very much like Berry Burst. It'd be really pretty with our pinks. And here you can see my butterfly. And as I tip it, you can see the pearlescent shine on the pieces. Isn't that fun? I just want to show you that. I had so much fun. I did the same thing for the inside. I did practice on lots of different butterflies in different colors, so they all looked kind of different. So I had several of them. Let me show you another card. And this one here was also colored with gold, and this time I tinted it with Peach Pie re-inker. This uses the Along These Lines stamp set. This was one of our Prize Patrol gifts we got on stage, and it's a fun set. It's extremely versatile. You can see it's got lions, dogs, bicycles, dolphins, birds, a rose, a cake. Very versatile. So there you can see how that shines on that card. On the inside, this is the brush, what's it called? I forget what the, Brandy Cox did this at the recent Creative 8 retreat. You just use a strip of paper and then take your blending brush and color along the edges of the paper. And then the sentiment is stamped in the color. That stamp set, since this one does not have any sentiments, that sentiment came from Beautiful Motifs, which is new in the catalog. And I just used this thinking of you. So that is that card. And I have one more. And this is the one I might be most proud of. Although the technique part of it really had nothing much to it. This is white. This is using the Sunset Sailing stamp set, and this includes a hybrid embossing folder, so you can see all of this is all embossed at once, including the sailboat. And then there's a die that will cut the sailboat out, so I popped him up. But on this one, I'm flipping it around here so you can see, I used the white pearlescent, didn't mix in any colors, and I just highlighted it with my paintbrush a few places on the water down here. This was done with blending brush. Azure Afternoon, and up here is Bashful Blue. Just done with the blending brush first. So here is where I determined that when you color with this, it will tend to absorb some of your ink. So there is a little bit of a blue tinge, but not much. And on the clouds, I really sort of puddled it on to give my clouds texture, if you can see that. And here I just brushed a very thin layer on the sails. So that's that card. On the inside, I just used a little scrap tube, same thing, and the envelope. So those are the cards I wanted to share with you. Painting with Enamel Effects. I hope you give it a try. I hope you learned something, or a different way to use your Enamel Effects. Let me flip my camera back. And we will wrap it up. If you enjoyed that, I'd love to have a comment. Leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. Share with your friends. And if you have any questions, please just leave the questions in a comment, and I will do my best to answer them. If the answer doesn't make sense, don't feel afraid to ask again. We're here to learn. And usually when I get a question, I learn something from the question too. So, and it helps me improve the videos if I know when things are clear and maybe when they're not so clear, or if you want to see something different. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next week. Next week is Fun Fold Week. I haven't figured out which one I'm going to do yet. But until then, God bless and have a good one. Bye-bye.